guys, this is Fan Confessions, the channel about two friends, two fans, and the K-Wave. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lisa.
And welcome to the place where we share our love of all things K-pop, K-drama, and our personal experiences as fans. Alright, so we're back again to talk about the second episode.
Oh yeah, here we go.
What is the series you were talking about?
It is Lovers of the Red Sky.
Oh god, I already forgot. I was like, Red Sky, something. Anyway. Failing at this episode already. So, we're talking about episode 2. And so I guess we should start off by talking about what we were thinking coming into this episode. So we kind of ended up on a very dramatic exit there, with the blindness being swapped between our two main characters, and it's pretty devastating. They're both alive, but
yeah, exactly. Lives have changed for sure. And we, walking into episode 2, I wasn't sure how they were gonna take the story, or were they gonna have them meet up and realize what's happened to them, or who knows.
Still be kids, honestly. I thought there'd be more hangover, and then I was like, hey, I feel like we're obviously going to see again from the angry prince, and I'm like, he's easily future bad guy.
Oh yeah, totally future bad guy.
Somewhere on this. And then in my head too, I was like, the whole time I've been trying to pick out who's the second male lead, who's going to be the second male lead, right? And so my guess at this point was the real prince in the very beginning part that we met, because for some reason he was the only one that seemed of any level of importance, although he has not a big role at all, so I'm not really sure why I thought that, but I was trying to take my guess at this point of who it might be.
I kind of already knew just from some of the teaser trailers, and I knew who was playing the second male lead, so I knew it wasn't quite the heir to the throne, the first prince. Yes. But
we can talk
more about that. We can talk more about that.
I was wrong right away. They were not kids. When we saw this episode, there was no hangover. It was like poof, they're older now.
Yeah, not just a few years older. We're talking 19 years.
Yeah, I felt a bit robbed. How about you? I for some reason wanted them to see them as kids again still.
I know, I think it's mostly because we just love the two actors that played them as kids.
Yes.
And we're just like, more of that, please. I'm hoping for some extra flashbacks.
I hope so too. It would be interesting to see, because we don't really get how they were separated or anything, because obviously it seems like they don't know each other anymore and they're not in each other's lives, right? Yeah,
exactly. It's just that was probably the first and last time they met was the day where they drew and ate peaches together, which amazing, happy little memories.
Yeah, it was really sad actually that they, oh, good.
Yeah, so we step into 19 years later and their lives are very different, eh?
Yes, totally. Well, I mean, she's still with her dad, which I mean is not super shocking there, and so she's obviously into she can see now, so
she can see
that seemed like the obvious thing. We knew that was going to happen. I found it interesting she's the only girl in her school, it feels like, right?
Well, we're talking the Joseon area, right? There's not a lot of women in professional positions back then.
I was thinking about that, and then I'm like, why is she accepted? And I guess it's because of her lineage or whatever.
Oh yeah, totally. It's her dad was a student there, and she obviously had some talent coming in when she could see again.
Yeah.
And there's this fun scene where the headmaster of the school is going on and on and on about how much he loves her, and he's telling this story apparently that he's told a million zillion times because his assistant is just
yeah.
So that was funny. So we're getting some fun side characters in this drama too. But he's telling the story about how how could I not accept her? She's like so-and-so's daughter, and she's just so talented and wonderful. And apparently all the other male students find her fascinating too, because they're like, ooh, a girl.
Yeah, of course. It's kind of a little bit, they tease her a little bit, but then at the same time she's welcomed and whatever. So it's a
Yeah,
interesting little thing. And then I guess we get to see Haram is not in necessarily the best position compared to her. People think of him kind of as like a monster because his eyes are like red.
exactly. So it's funny. There's this one scene because he's an astrologer in the royal court. I don't know how he got into the royal court. We hear a little bit about that story a little later in the episode, but he's an astrologer in the royal court and apparently very gifted. Because back then astrologers were like for like seers. They counseled the king about what the future might hold based on the positions of the stars.
Yeah, pretty important.
Pretty important. So he's blind, but still super hot. And all the girls all the servant girls are like, oh, he's so handsome. He's so handsome.
Yeah.
So he's at both like favored of the king and like the palace guardian god to some people, but the red-eyed monster to others. Mm-hmm. So it's
got it a little more difficult in some ways. I mean, she doesn't have it easy either. I think we see that her father is still really ill and she's really struggling to come to terms with all that.
And try to help him because our friend's in the process of trying to save up for some medicine, some really fancy dancy medicine.
Yes, and she starts copying traditional paintings, like famous paintings, and for this, like, I don't know, is it through the school? I was trying to wrap my head around that. The guy is like trying to sell these counterfeits.
So I think this is not the school. This is like an art warehouse that's separate from the school. I guess because of the schools nearby, there's sort of like a center of art and stuff like that.
Talking about copying art at the same time. I was getting it all mixed up again.
Yeah. So so she's earning a little bit aside. She's got a little bit of a side hustle, doing some counterfeit painting at night and earning some cash that way, so that the owners of this warehouse, like they selling it to all the nobles, these counterfeits. They're selling top price these counterfeits to the nobles.
Yeah, you see, it's not a savory situation. She thinks she can just go in and do her last one and like quit and be like, I'm good. Like, don't these anymore.
But I don't know, because like she's dealing with some like pretty sketchy criminal types and they threatened to cut off her hand.
Yeah, like how she acted in that situation would not be me. Like,
no, she is like stone-faced. Yeah, she's calm. She's got a plan. She's like, I'm too smart for you, fool.
Yeah.
But it's like the whole situation is very, like, she manages to get out of the situation, but it was a little bit scary. I know I would probably be like passing out and having a heart attack if I was ever in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I would not have done anything she did.
No, I would not be involved in that. But like one little cool bit was for some, at the time I didn't really get why, but Haram was in like an inner room of that building at the same time, and he was having like kind of like a meeting or something. And like I like at the time I didn't really understand why he was there. But as Chungi is leaving, Haram and her sort of like, they could almost like sense each other.
Yeah, I had to rewind that part because I was like, I thought I looked down and then I was like, I didn't see them see each other. But then I'm like, oh, they just are like feeling that they're there.
I know.
You're not actually
a little bit spiritual connection.
I guess. Yeah.
I guess that happens when like somebody steals your eyes and puts them into another person.
Yeah, I guess so. You know what, I actually had wondered if there was going to be something like that like he could see out of her eyes, or I don't know. Like, I had wondered if there was gonna, like, they haven't ever alluded to anything like that, but originally when they had the eye switch, I wondered if it would have any of those abilities. But yeah, but no,
Yeah,
they're still separate.
that would be like an interesting little
Right?
like development. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, to see like through someone else's eyes. But you can, I don't know. Anyway.
Anyway, yes, we digress.
This is
We
not
digress.
story. This is its own story, and no, that's not what happens.
No, exactly. But that one little moment made me think like, oh yeah, we're building that like faded connection between our two characters, right? We're just adding more layers to that.
Her actually in that moment too. I thought she was getting in trouble. And so, like, when she was threatening to move her hand, I actually thought he was going to be like, in normal K-drama fashion, he probably would have been like, stop. and like saved her, but he didn't. She's still just on her own, right?
I guess because I think he held like he had his like assistant or something that he almost, so he was like, he's like, let's see how she takes care of this.
Yeah.
But so yeah. that was kind of cool. I thought that was a neat little scene and interaction. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is, like, so she gets out of the situation and she's done her last counterfeit painting, and she's got the money she needs to buy this like superior magical super special medicine that's gonna one and done cure her father's mental illness. Mm-hmm. So she goes to the medicine guy, the pharmacist, and like there's this like
sorry, but okay.
So she goes and she's like, this is all the money I have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna like cure my father.
Yeah.
But no, because the medicine she gives to her father and he's still the same old, and it's so sad. And she's so angry and she's just so disappointed. Just like breaks your heart a little.
Realize it right away, right? Like, because maybe it's like takes some time, but like in the back end, we see that the guy that was swindling other people swindled her and paid these people to fake this medicine situation for, which I mean, like, how could you be so cruel? I mean, I guess he's a criminal.
Well, yeah.
But like, geez, like that's like a new level of
harsh.
Like, bad. I guess anyway, I was like, okay. I mean, well, it's progressing, but she's not gonna take it.
No, because you see, as fate would have it, our girl seems to stumble along her pharmacist friends having conversation, feeling guilty about duping her and taking all her money. And she overhears this and she's like, just what? What have you done? So, but instead of just like being, oh, woe is me, she's like, oh yeah, that's it. I'm getting revenge.
Yeah. She gets crafty about it.
And I think this whole like work she does is just like such a fun like series of scenes, stuff like that, and what she's doing.
I thought like they've been adding a little bit more comedy into it a little bit, and so I'm enjoying the more lightheartedness parts of it, because some parts are pretty, like, it gets pretty serious and there's a lot going on, and so it just allows it to breathe a little bit. It's not so tense the whole time.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to laugh and relax.
Yeah, just a little bit. So I enjoy her character so far as an adult. She's fun.
She's feisty, isn't she?
Yeah, she's totally, like, that's exactly what I would like. I think I found it hilarious. So yeah, they have the scene where she pretty much wrangles the other students to help her out. And whatever. And I mean, later it's like she ends up, who is she chasing?
So there's the guy who sold her the medicine was like pretending to be some like Chinese trade person. Mm-hmm. But he was like just like a regular like scumbag. who was Korean and who likes going to the brothel.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I was thinking
Yeah.
that she like all of a sudden she's like, there you are. And she like chases it, and you just see her in a bunch of scenes while like all this serious stuff is going on. You just hear in the background and
I know.
chasing him and attacking him, and I thought that was really well done.
She's just like chasing him down with a broom and beating his ass, and it's like just the right people
Yeah.
like catch her, and like she runs through the room where the third prince is drinking with his friends, and she's just like, ah, and they run out, and then he's like, that's an awesome girl.
Well, that, and then we also have a very serious thing going on with the prince that is grown up now that is like evil. You sort of find out, I guess it was before this, we find out that the prince that's meant to take the throne he's like ill or something. Like he's not.
Yeah, he's had some assassination attempts, and everybody's like, who could have possibly arranged that?
Oh no. They're
Yeah.
not hard to tell, nor is this guy trying to hide it. So he wants to, like, so I don't really, maybe you can help me understand this more. So he goes, and there's a guy that comes tells him about Haram, but his side name, which I can't remember off the.
Yeah, so this was it Ilwol Song. So
Talking about
yeah. So our friend Haram, we get a little bit flashbacks of how Haram got to be part of the royal court after everything that happened to him, right? So we get a little bit of flashback that after the ceremony, so the palace police came by and finished the job of disposing of his father that they didn't do so well the first time. So poor Haram, he's blind. And while his father's trying to do some kind of ritual to bring back his sight, the police come. His father is murdered, his mother is murdered, and he's basically stolen away to the palace to work for the king because of his abilities. So you can understand that that could cause a little bit of resentment.
Yes, and well, and then okay, tell me your thoughts on this as well. I thought he said when he was cursing the king that he took 3 lives that day. Is he meaning that his life is gone too, or is he meaning something?
I think so. I think he is referring to that, like, you stole my father's life, you stole my mother's life, and you stole the life I could have had.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because you made me your servant or your slave.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
the king thinks he would happily serve him. I feel like that's a dummy thing.
Well, they had a little bit of scene between him and the king where he's giving him a little bit of an update, saying, you know what, don't worry about the first prince, what happened. Like, he had an assassination attempt, but I can see in the stars that he's okay. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's hoping that abilities are gonna help him enough that he'll just keep him at like his.
Yeah, exactly. But in that conversation, the king's like, come closer. Have you been able to regain your memory of what happened after the water ceremony or the rain ceremony? And he's like, no, your highness, no, I'm sorry. I have forgotten everything. And like after that scene, he comes out and he's like, you really think I forgot everything?
Well, like, so I don't know, it's interesting because it's like I keep getting this sense that like you're supposed to think the king is a bad guy in some ways, but then I'm like, is he all knowing of everything that has happened? And
yes,
know that they killed the dad and his mom. Like he doesn't get the impression that he knows and that he sent people to do that somehow.
I know, it's like everything, like the police people are implying that it was the king's orders, but I have a bit of a theory about this that I think we're going to have to talk about in a minute. So Haram is like, his life in the palace, he was forced to come to the palace, but while he was there, not only did he become an astrologer and a valuable member of the king's court so that his place is secure, but he started, because like this guy is not dumb.
Yeah.
This guy is like, information is my best weapon. So he turns into this like cloak and dagger kind of like, I know everything that's going on. He knows all the secrets. He knows what everybody's doing, all the dirty shit that everybody's trying to hide from everybody else. He knows everything. He's got like a network of spies, and he's a big deal.
Yeah.
And nobody knows it's him because he's keeping his identity secret, right?
Yeah.
But I just love this whole like, I'm gonna bring the royal family down for what they did to me. Like, he's out for revenge.
Well,
he's like
interesting because now that you say that, all like, I was still processing it again too, and when you see he's got like a mask in some scenes, and it made me think that at first, I guess I got so hooked on the mask is like with Scarlet Heart, the guy that had
yeah,
and how he hid his face for different reasons, but I thought he was hiding his face at first because of his eyes.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first too, until like the whole.
And now you explain it, like I know he had the separate identity, but I guess I didn't realize that he's hiding it to the degree that he is, because yeah, he doesn't want anyone. I thought in my head, I thought that was the name and everything he was doing. I thought that was what he was doing his astrology under too. But like now that you say that and I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so it's like he is being two different people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that makes sense why he's showing his face in some senses and not always in every scene.
Yeah, exactly. So he's playing up the blind, like innocent Haram in the court, but he's a smart dude, and he's got his finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in the palace and in the kingdom. Yeah. Like, he knows who's doing what and who's doing dirty, and he knows who ordered an assassination attempt on the first prince.
Of course he does.
Yes. And so when the second prince is gathering information on who dared try to attempt to kill his brother.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, but this whole part, it felt silly to me. So yeah, that guy comes and tells him, and then I'm like, in trying to investigate what is going on, he's practically telling on himself. Like, I
know.
I'm like, did you do this just to admit to somebody that you did it? Like, there's really dumb. Like,
yeah, like people closest, like, obviously know it was him, but they don't have enough solid evidence to say anything, because this is like a prince, right? This is like treason.
Yeah.
So you can't just like outright and accuse without solid like actual evidence and basically a confession in front of the king. So they're just like, everybody's being like, oh, we know it's you, but we're not going to say that we know it's you because you're going to kill us if we do.
Pretty much. I don't know. It's interesting with him because I know he's supposed to be one of the villains, but I'm less excited about him as a villain because I like the villains that are cunning and the ones that you're kind of afraid of, because you're like, they're such a good villain that you're like, how is this going to be good? Like, how is my good person going to win? But with him, he's coming off kind of dumb, and I'm kind of like, eh.
I know. And this is where my theory comes in.
Ooh. Okay.
So yeah, like our second prince is supposed to be the baddie, like we've said. And like Steph said, he's not a very impressive baddie.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. Because personally, so in between him figuring out what's going on, he goes to visit because like our head shaman lady was banished from the palace for trying to use human sacrifice against orders. But she obviously is still involved in things, because apparently before she left, she had a bit of a convo with second prince saying, you know, the demon was right. You were meant to rule. I'm going to help you. Mm-hmm. So he like has a little meeting with her saying, okay, so when are you going to get the demon king? When am I going to get my throne? Yeah. And she's like, be patient, dear prince. So my theory is, so in all the dealings with the palace police and where they're sort of they're insinuating that the king gave them orders to kill so-and-so and to bring Haram to the palace, I think it was all shaman lady.
Yeah, it sounds like she's calling the shots. It's like Game of Thrones. The ladies
Mm-hmm.
win everything. The ladies,
Yeah,
she's running the show.
she's running the show. Good,
That is just
either good and evil. Whether you're the good guy or the bad guy, it's the ladies that run the show.
yeah. So I could definitely see that. But yeah, not super excited about that. I did determine at this time that the who was it? The prince, the youngest one, is probably going to be the second male lead. It seemed like they were setting that up well, which I guess
Yeah.
I'm surprised by. He was very dorky as a kid, so I didn't see it.
I know, like the who they chose to be the child actor to the child younger version of the third prince looks nothing like the
No,
actor that who plays. So I was expecting somebody that looked a little more similar. I don't know about that casting. That was a little off,
I was
but
gonna say because the other kids they did a really good job with the matching the child actors to the adults because the guy is like for Haram is super similar looking, and then the girl is pretty good as well. But it like they did a really good job there. But yeah, with that one kid, it was a kind of
very different.
yeah, very different, very different vibe, I guess, altogether. And then the other thing I thought was funny is so they're having this whole scene with Haram and the prince, and he's trying to face him about what he's saying in terms of the assassination, and they're having this like super serious talk, and Haram just go through the background, or after I guess after the prince leaves or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So like the prince like knows about this guy who has a reputation for knowing all the information and all the dirty secrets. So he comes to visit him. And Haram obviously is just like, I know you're the one who's trying to assassinate your brother. And he like basically they're doing this like little testing of each other, a little power struggle. So that's going to be really fun to see how that kind of interaction develops.
I enjoyed the cleverness of like, so he's got this assistant guy with him all along, and so they set it up really well, so it looked like he was sitting behind this whatever
screen or veil,
and then so you think he's gonna uncover his face, and then of course he's too smart for that, so it's the assistant and not him, and I appreciate like little things like that, so I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's really clever writing in my personal opinion.
Well, it suits the moment and what the character is supposed to be and everything like that, so I thought I liked that.
Yeah, exactly. So like as the meeting with the prince ends and he's leaving the brothel, that's when our friend comes storming through with her broom, chasing after the doofus that stole her money.
Very serious moment, very quickly. I haven't found that.
I know, but he's just like.
Yeah. And still, they're not really sure, so they keep kind of crossing paths, but they're not really sure of each other yet.
Yeah, it's like they brush each other, they don't recognize each other. Well, of course, like he can't recognize her, and she doesn't recognize him. But they're sort of like brushing, just like passing each other, two ships in the night so far. They're not really meeting.
And so it turns out that she's able to pin crimes on the bad guy, I guess the guy that was trying to counterfeit paintings, and he gets picked up by the police.
Yeah, and she's like, I won, I got my revenge.
Short-lived, of course. He must have some connections or something and managed to get out pretty quickly, and so he's like chasing her all over the place.
Yeah,
right, and then she happens to be chased almost outside the city, and then she jumps into, what do we call this thing, a palanquin?
Pelican.
I've never heard of this before. I've seen the like, it's like the kind of they've got all what do you call them? I keep wanting to say chariot. It's not a chariot. It's like
yeah, it's like a chariot, but instead of wheels, you get slaves to carry around.
Exactly. And it's funny because I guess because she jumps in it, and it's kind of like, oh, I thought it was going to be a woman in here, right? Because it's like it is typically a woman that is them, but I guess because he's blind and whatever. Although I don't understand why because he's blind, he gets it instead of a regular carriage, but I don't know.
Well, because I guess it's easier for him to move around without being seen, right? But Anyway, so she happens to hop into the one pelican that has her buddy from childhood in there, and coincidentally. And when the sketchy criminals come searching, he protects her by like basically like saying like push off, asshole.
Yeah, he sort of threatened him back.
Yeah, exactly. If you would have like dared try to look in here without my permission, you would have been dead, because like I'm the king's guy.
Yeah.
So that very convenient little bit of power there. So it ended up protecting Chang'an from being like, I guess, like killed by these criminals.
Probably killed, yeah, I would think so.
So
yes.
I know. So it's fun because like he lets her hang out and they have a little bit of a convo, and they're like, it was really sweet because of course 2 people in a pelican carried by 4 adults, and there's like the road's a little rough. You can't always stay perfectly even.
Those bumpy little things. And we can't forget how she like straight up insults him to his face and doesn't realize it's him she's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, there's this jerk Il Wol Sung that's like trying to like, he's such a criminal too.
And he's like, oh, is he?
He's not a criminal. He's like defending himself, and he's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't be too excited about that.
It was kind of a cute little scenario. And then, like you said, it gets like all bumpy, and then of course they have to fall into like the K-drama land coming in.
Exactly.
Pure moment, but then it's like kind of weird, right? It's like you see like there's a synergy of energy.
And she was able to see his eyes because he'd been keeping his eyes closed because he didn't want to freak her out this whole time. But like when they got jostled, he opened his eyes, and he explained that he was blind, and they're talking about it, and he's explaining like how he sees with sound and with scent
the way that she
the way she taught him to. So it's funny because like when she hears that, she's like, oh, that's familiar.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I guess I try to think about it too. Like, would I forget my memory from that far ago? But I guess you could easily forget a lot of that stuff.
Like, it's been 19 years since they saw each other, right? So they're not going to recognize each other right away. He doesn't know that she regained her sight, so he's expecting his friend to be blind, right? Yeah. And it's kind of cute. And he's like, oh, she's like, you have the most beautiful eyes.
Yeah, it was very like forward. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, she's a painter, right? She appreciates color.
Yeah, and then so she talks about what type of color his eyes are and all that. Yeah, but then like I guess it happens again. Damn, those bumpy carriages just keep
going.
And so they end up again, but more so connected. And then there's like this really big surge, and then he's like clearly just not feeling good, like he's almost like in pain or something.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see on the back of his neck the butterfly talisman that was sentient.
Butterfly tattoo people.
I know.
Sorry.
I know, I saw that. I was like, oh my god, what is with the butterfly tattoos on the back of their necks?
But 2.0.
I know, 2.0, the good guy version.
Oh my god.
So like some like Steph said, like this synergy of energy.
Yeah.
And like his talisman starts wearing off, and obviously this talisman was keeping something locked down, right?
Clearly, yeah. And I guess she just had unlocked it somehow.
Being together, it got unlocked. And he's like, oh, get out of the carriage now.
Good thing, yeah.
Which, yeah, good thing.
Because then all the black misty seeping this.
Yes, the mistiness, the black misty gooby goop is coming out of him, and like
a little better now than it did the first.
Yes, better CGI now than it was at first. 100% agreed. Yeah. But it's funny because like all of a sudden like she gets booted out, and his servants are like, what's going on? Because the pelicans
know where she's gonna go. Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah.
Hello, demon possessed Haram version.
Yeah, okay, so I thought his body was going to be left down there, and they were going to separate from each other, and the demon was going to come up. But then it's like him in demon form.
Exactly, which is like not what I was expecting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, here's the end of the episode.
I know.
And I have zero thoughts on how I feel about this right now. I don't know what to think. It was not what I expected.
No, I was not expecting that. And I think probably because Sam Shin took the Demon King's eyes, that he's still
right?
he can't quite separate himself from Haram, because we end this episode with like the demon possessed, the Demon King going, he senses Chungi, right? And he's like, I know where my eyes are. Right. He's like taking a beeline straight for her when we end episode 2.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, so I was like, how are they so my brain has been going, how's this gonna get back into, where is his body, first of all?
What's gonna happen? How are they gonna like deal with this little bit of a situation?
Yeah, like this is a kind of a big deal. He's probably gonna try and kill her or whatever.
Something.
So she's gonna do something that obviously has something to do with her being good, and whatever is gonna stop it somehow. Because we know there's more episodes to be had with them of them being themselves. It's like he can't
exactly
from this point on.
We've had teaser images. We know something will be resolved.
More of him being, yeah. Oh, and we totally went. Lisa knows exactly what I'm talking about. There was another very shocking moment this episode.
So we would like to take this moment to thank the writers of Lovers of the Red Sky.
Producers,
writers, producers, directors, anybody involved in the situation of our lead actor doing pull-ups shirtless. Thank you for that.
And then I remember Lisa telling me she had watched this episode ahead of me. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then she's like, there's some very interesting scenes or something. And I was like, oh, I'm like, and then I enticed me. I'm like, maybe something happens between the leads or something. And then the second that scene came up, I'm like, that's what she meant.
Because we're dirty old ladies and we like a good shirtless scene.
It was impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Credit is due.
Oh my god! Talk about back muscles.
Yeah, it was funny though. I love how like K-dramas will just randomly throw that stuff in there.
Thank you.
Pick it up, but
thank you.
It's super duper random and unexpected, but I guess maybe we'll see more of that.
It's appreciated nonetheless.
So there's definitely some interesting things going on there. So I mean, it could be cool. Maybe we'll see some more action sequences. Since
because he seems in that scene we were able to see that he can handle himself in a fight, blind or no, right? So like. Oh,
I'm like, good luck to her if he can fight, and then like
I know
how to fight. That's where I'm like, I'm very confused on where this is gonna go. Still interested though, I will say. Yeah, this episode, did I like it more? I think I liked it more than the last episode. I missed the kids. The kids were the really beautiful part about it. Actress is bringing it just like I thought she would. She's got a very vibrant personality. It's definitely like hooking me into the story. I like the actor for Haram, and actually I find his story a little bit more interesting in his background and stuff, so I'm kind of really more intrigued on that. And I enjoyed their first interaction together, so it was enough for me to want to continue to go.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they first resolve the whole possession thing. But also I'm very excited to get into the little love triangle that's going to be coming up, because I'm thinking that's going to be fun. Yeah,
that's like giving me, I don't know, I keep relaying back to other ones. Scarlet Rio is the one with all the different princes, right? And then you get a different person. So he kind of reminds me of like some of the more cheeky and funny younger princes, which I always enjoy their personalities in in the dramas. So looking forward to seeing how that'll end up going as well. But
exactly.
A lot of intenseness, little easier to follow this episode of what's going on.
It's giving us nice breaks from the intense, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a good one, I would say, to watch after we've been watching something like Hometown, Cha Cha Cha, or even like after Nevertheless too, because it's just a very different vibe.
Very different vibe.
Like I don't even know. It's almost melodrama-y, but at least it's still got some light in it. So
yeah, so very excited to see what happens next.
All right, so that's all we've got for this week's episode, and I hope you enjoyed watching this series with us so far, and we're excited to hear what else you guys have to say. We are so excited with the amount of like views we've been getting and the likes that are coming through, so please continue contributing like that, because that's just like a bigger sign to us that we need to keep doing this and that this project like is so fun for us, and that you guys are enjoying it as well. So
yes,
it counts.
Yes, thank you for all the love and likes and the new subscribers. Hi, welcome to the fam. So yeah, just I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are, and yeah, let's keep watching together.
Until next week.